I don't think high school coaches get enough credit for that, honestly. You know, getting their high school players prepared for the college game. You know, that's a huge. For those who want to go on to the next level, that is part of their job. Like building those study habits when you were in high school already. You know, showing you how giving you a broad brush of how college is going to be, because it's not easy. Exactly. You know, it makes that transition a whole lot easier. I know. Did you guys? How was your transition for either of you guys? I want you guys to talk about it too.
I think, and to that point, like I feel like high school coaches, they have to like get out of the mind, like they have to really get out of like position, like putting players in positions too. And I feel like that's something that changed for them. Like you see a dude that's 6'5" or 6'3", like make him the center. Like when you get in those ages, like he don't grow no more. You a guard, so you need guard skills. But no, I think that's kind of like important. Like I know that we had a coaching change our senior year, and you could like kind of see the difference. And there's like no disrespect to our old coach, but like it was much different getting ready, like practices and like study hall was like always a thing now. So like transitioning coaches, so I think it wasn't an element of like being able to hit the books and do that, and then also like what are you doing in practice? So I started to feel like my practices had a lot more purpose when we like kind of made that coaching change.
100%. And just to build on Ty's point, I felt like we just had a culture. And just prior to that point, it just kind of felt like, we were 15 dudes just, hooping together. But that senior year, we had a culture. Everybody bought in. Right. Everybody was on the same page, and we had accountability with it too. I think a lot of these high school coaches, especially ones who have the favoritism with their favorite players, they giving them the ultimate green bean look. Shoot whenever you want. I ain't going to get mad at you. You don't got to play no defense. Right. And then when you go to college, and you don't have that coach who thinks you're his favorite, now you're wondering, hey, why is coach on my case all the time? Why keep yelling at me? So I think definitely you need to have that structure and accountability.
Yeah, I can definitely say personally for me, I mean, my high school experience, I think my coach really just helped me, further along my basketball IQ. Yeah, I think I started to look at the game differently when I was in high school, learn like just from simple stuff, so simple. From like, I'll even give this as a specific example, like the screen, he always used to say the screener is always open. Like the dude who screens, whoever sets the screen will always be open most of the time. Like that was one thing I took into college. Like I still take it to the courts now. I'll set a screen. I'm like, I'm going to be open. Whether it's a slip or I'm going to pop out open. Like, if you set a good solid screen, bro, 90% of the time you're going to be open. Like, so just, I think that's just a huge part of the high school nature and high school coaches. I mean, I saw Bob Hurley from afar, you could tell he cares. Yeah, for sure. Like, you could tell he cares about his players for sure. Is there anything else you kind of want to speak on Hurley? Any other impact he may have had on you guys? Any life lessons that he may have gave you? I'm sure you got a book on Hurley, man.
He never cut anybody from the team.
Really?
Wow. It didn't matter. He never cut anybody.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the thing. He never cut anybody.
Wow.
Unless you was doing something crazy outside of what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
But that man changed a lot of lives, bro.
Yeah.
And a lot of people see the yelling, they see the barking, and like he's out of his mind. Mm-hmm. But when you actually around him all the time, you see him how he is with his family, his kids, his grandkids, his wife.
Right.
You're like, yeah, that man really cares.
Right.
He really cares for sure. And he was different, like mentally. Basketball, different. Bro, we were in high school. We talking about we gonna like watch film. Like we could watch films from our practices, the games. Like we watching film. So I'm saying before we play y'all, we watching the film. We got to break down every player. Yeah. So that's like some college level stuff for real.
That's the next level.
When you say that, I can tell. I can tell you. You're a good guy, bro. I've never, to start off, never beat St. Anthony in my career. Never. Not in no summer league. Not in no regular season game. Nothing. I've never beaten St. Anthony.
I don't feel too bad. That guy, you're the only team out there who fell in.
Guys, when I tell you, stepping on the court, especially with y'all 2016 squad, our senior year, man, that squad was different. I mean, like we can talk about. Hey, let's talk about it.
Hold on. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Just before we get into that, being top of your class, waking up at 6, even though school really starts at 8:30. Practicing for Hurley, he's barking at you. You got to watch film, this, that, and third, lifting. How did you manage to still be top of your class in school, regardless of what were all the obstacles?
So, man, that started early for real, like with Coach Cole, back in the Faces days. Coach Cole wasn't playing you if your grades weren't right. And then I also got to credit my parents because they would be on top.
I was going to say, Shyquan, I'm not playing that.
Mom, these pops, they not playing that, bro. Like, stay on top of your books. All right, cool. You know what I'm saying? And then also, you know, once you get in that mode that one day basketball ain't going to be basketball.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to, one day we're going to be 40. You know what I'm saying? It's going to come. It's going to happen.
100%.
We ain't going to be hooping all the way our whole lives. So at that point, education going to be what separates you and how you progress in life.
Exactly.
100%.
Speaking on your parents too, I mean, it sounds like they had a huge, influence on your life. You know, I saw that your dad is actually in the Hall of Fame over at St. Peter's.
Yeah.
He was coaching down at Henry Snyder High School. So how influential was your dad when it came to playing, basketball at the next level?
Yeah, man. So my dad, like, he really don't say too much off the court. Like, you talk to him all the time. Like, he ain't really don't say too much. But, like, on them days, when I'll be having them days, like, we all have them days. We all human beings.
Of course.
Like, my dad would be the only person I know that could talk to me and, like, I feel confident the next day. Like, I'm going to go get 40. Like, that's how he makes me feel for real. And he wouldn't even say too much. But it'd be like, Pops, you got that.
Yeah. Something about that connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something about the words he would say that's just powerful. Like, he don't say too much, but when he did, like, it always impacted me in that kind of way for real.
Now, was he coaching high school when you were in high school as well?
Yeah.
All right.
We played against him.
Oh, my God. You got to talk to me about that, too. But real quick, too. Like, did you ever? I know, obviously, Coach Hurley is you can't go wrong going to St.Anthony's Coach Hurley. But did you ever have any thoughts of like, oh, man, let me come over here and play with my pops real quick? I could probably kill everybody in this league right now.
Like, gonna be good.
Yeah, the green light gonna be league. I'm playing with my pops. Did those thoughts ever creep in your head?
100%, man. Like, play for my dad. I watch my dad play. He always let his star players rock. You feel me?
I'm like Coach Hurley. Coach Hurley, yo, share the fucking ball, bro.
System,
yeah.
Everybody eat. That's how
everybody eat.
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, I knew being under Coach Hurley and being with the players that I played with at St. Anthony, I knew that would be the better route for me.
Yeah. And kind of what made you? Because I know you're probably looking at St. Anthony like, I'm going to a team of loaded team. Like, did you ever think about like how are you going to differentiate yourself? Like, how are you going to still like you clearly still went to D1, so you did something. But what was your mindset going into that atmosphere? Like, I know there was some competitive juices in there a little bit too with all that talent around. But what was your thought process going in there? Like, how am I differentiate myself and still, get success? Because I know I'm not going to be with this team in college. Like, I got to go do something for me for college.
For sure. So, like, even before I got into St. Anthony, I'm watching teams. We got Miles Mack, Kyle Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, sheesh. I'm at a game where they playing DeMatha, and Miles outscored DeMatha by himself.
Miles was
Miles was that guy. Like,
he was
I'm like, golly. Then the next year he leave, KA still there. And y'all know KA. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know KA. So then even the classes before that, I had Terrence Smith and Shetty Mosley in front of me.
Right.
Shaq McFarland, Josh Brown, Hallis Cook. Like, those are the guards ahead of me. Like, so those dudes, I'm looking at them playing under them for years. Like, I go to St. Anne's camp, they all the coaches and stuff. So we kind of just got some insight through that and kind of just use that as motivation. Like, I already know I'm going in with guys that can hoop, put the ball in the basket. Like, everybody can do that. But my role came my senior year, 3-and-D kind of guy. That was kind of my niche. That's where I found my spot at.
Right.
I'm going to go to the best players. I'm going to make open shots. I'm going to make plays when I can. Be a basketball player.
Right.
So just hoop.
Exactly. That was my niche. So I stuck to it, and it got me somewhere.
That shows your maturity, honestly. To me, that shows, because a lot of the high school kids can't buy into their role a lot of times. I feel like a lot of kids, everybody wants to be the star. Everybody wants to have the glitz and glamour and stuff like that. But what can you do for our team to help us win?
Exactly.
Can you buy into the role that the coaches assign you at the end of the day? And it sounds like you bought into your role. And look, it worked. Like, you guys were undefeated. Like, that doesn't happen too often. Like, there's not many, high school teams that can say, yo, we ran the table.
Yeah.
We completely ran the table. We ran TOC, no losses. I mean, and it just, you could tell just by the way you speak from your maturity and things, the way you buy into your role. And I'm sure the rest of your squad was bought into their role as well. So that's just great insight to see, like, how you guys were able to come together and actually have that undefeated season.
Exactly, and be rewarded for, buying in. Like you said, you got to play Division I ball. You got the undefeated season. Mm-hmm. You got the rings. I know we don't. We're gonna ask you how that felt like, because we don't. So I guess we didn't do enough buying in with our squad. but yeah, like, you know, some, especially like these newer kids, they'll see Steph Curry, you know, shooting all, everybody wants to shoot the half-court threes. You know, I get it. You know, I shoot them occasionally too. I get it. But the 3 and D dudes, they still get paid. Like, if you
big paid now.
master your role, you perfect it at what you do and realize what you're good at and just full-fledged focus on that, you know, you could still be rewarded. It doesn't have to be that way.
Right.
So,
right.
That's up to you for that.